Welcome back to the Global DNA series. Today I am joined with one of my favorite people on the planet, Lori Spagna, and oh, I fucking love this woman. I just want to take a moment to acknowledge you, Lori, and the depth that you play in my life before we even start. You are a true gift to humanity and a gift in my life.
Acurda, I feel the same way about you. I love you so much.
On with the rest of this stuff. Today's title is Illumination, Awakening, Humanity, the Third Wave of Ascension. And Lori Spagna is a best-selling author, spiritual teacher, ascension guide, multidimensional channel, intuitive healer, animal communicator, visionary, light worker, starseed, who radically transformed her life after a series of near-death experiences and an induction experience while living in Maui. Lori has over 20 years experience serving humans and animals around the world and is an internationally recognized speaker, best-selling author, teacher, who provides seminars and workshops for awakening lightworkers and spiritually minded animal lovers about how we can improve our lives by learning from animals. She assists others to awaken to their alignment with their true divine source, which exists within each and every being, so that all beings can live their best life ever. Lori has transformed thousands of lives, humans and animals, via her channeled ascension guide, intuition, sacred energy healing transmissions, sacred key code activations, and animal communication and telepathy. She provides ascension training and support, sacred energy healing transmissions, dormant DNA, sacred key code and star code markings, activations for humans and animals. And I mean, that doesn't even really do you justice, light lady of the universe, of the multiverse, and just how special you are here in my life, humanity. I have been in retreats with you and have witnessed the power and what you can create and hold. And it's always such an honor when we connect.
For me too. I love you so much. Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here with you, sister.
I don't even know if it would be a series without you. It's like I have my favorite people who are such family to me. I don't know if I would even want to do one without you. I mean,
yes, you would. That's all good, right? That's so sweet of you to say. So where are we going to go with this? So excited. What are we going to do?
Well, first of all, let's talk about your story a little bit.
Oh, yeah. A good place to start.
Kind of just, give the frequency of who you are so people can then get into that relating space with you. And then we'll go into all the magnificence that you are and all that you hold for humanity.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'll give you the pre-ascension, who Lori was, and the post-ascension, even though ascension is still going on. The old Lori, pre-ascension Lori, was working in corporate America after college, good slave, 6 figures, eating herself to death, smoking herself to death, drinking alcohol to death, and spending to the point of 6-figure credit card debt, and thyroid was off, hair was falling off, out 65 pounds of body weight. I mean, it was all bad, right? I was really miserable, trying to find happiness in all those, and fulfillment in all those kinds of behaviors. And I was going to doctors who were pumping me up with, massive amounts of pharmaceutical drugs, like the pill was the answer. And eventually what happened was, after literally a buildup to 20 years of that, my brother died of an unexpected drug overdose. And I started getting messages from him that at first seemed really crazy, because I didn't know that I could hear dead people. That's how he would come to me. Hey, Lotch, your dead brother Jeff. And because he was like New Yorker. And that was my wake-up call. It was my divine appointment in a sense, or divine calling, a divine wake-up call. And the message was, hey, you're on a similar trajectory as I am, so you're going to need to change your ways. And that became like a partnership for a year. I mean, I was kind of like clandestinely working with this, you know, what was this? But I did quit my job pretty quickly after that. I became a dog trainer, and then it wasn't long before I started hearing the dogs. Kind of a similar message, like, you listen to us and we'll teach you. And so the animal communication thing kind of just came online very quickly. And from there, I moved to Maui. I got my Reiki master. I got really deep into meditation. I was studying with a true master from the Himalayan mountains who already knows how to teletransport. And I mean, he himself woke up, you know, dead in a morgue, banging on the freezer. You know, he knew how to really leave the body in the physical world. And he taught me how to do what he called the little death. Well, he didn't teach me how to do this. He did this for me, where he was able to hold the essence of my consciousness in a state of consciousness as an individualized awareness that merged with all that was, while the physical world basically dismantled. And he called it a little death. I call it a near-death experience, even though it wasn't in a traditional sense. But that merger just opened up everything for me. And then through his teachings and the practices I was learning with energy and the meditation through the night, and I'll kind of leave my story off here. I basically would meditate through the night, and I had what we call a first contact experience on a ship, teletransported on ship. I understand that all of my codes, all of my stuff was activated there. And from there, it was like 2 years of unpacking all that. Well, no, it was much more than 2 years, but I had 2 years on Maui where I was just working with all that stuff in this crazy state of, what is all this? You know? And that's where it was all birthed from. That's my storyline of how. So that was over 15 years ago. And since then, this is what I've been doing. I help people awaken. I help people and animals come into alignment. I'm outstanding at extracting information from the non-physical realm and bringing it into the physical world. And I work with all kinds of modalities, and just whatever is in service to source and to the higher self of the animal or the person, their evolution. So I'm just assisting. It's maybe sometimes it's activating DNA. Other times I do a ton of channeling. I love allowing the higher, you know, so-called non-physical beings to speak through me or to energetically work through me, because it's just the frequency of love and light and peace that they're bringing through for us in the physical world is astounding. And yeah, I mean, I could go on, but that's what I do. Yeah.
So just a little of that.
Talk about that too. Love that. Sorry.
So, I mean, I feel a lot of people right now are doing some unpacking. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on at this particular time that this is being filmed. You know, we are asked to be in our homes and to stay there, and you know, there's a lot of multi-levels that we're discussing about, you know, what is happening next, why this is happening, and what we're seeing inside ourselves, and how this is relating to our own unpacking of the portion that we played in creating this.
Yes.
And so how do you feel about that, and what do you see around you right now as we're defragmenting, we'll say, our mind, the way that we've created our mind from this system, and we're now being, you know, asked to, you know, step into all new synaptic patterns of the brain without that programming. And, you know, people are having headaches and, you know, migraines and all this stuff. And so how have you been seeing that around you right now?
Well, the first thing I want to say is that I would say, in terms of the state of humanity and the whole third wave of ascension, is that we've reached critical mass. And that's what was slated for the timeline of 2020, that enough early embodiers, early awakeners, first wavers, who basically started waking up in the 60s and were pretty much fully online by 2011. And then the second wavers who started to come online right around 2012 up until 2020. That's critical mass. That was enough that the collective needed for the whole of humanity to be brought into basically, you know, 0 point or neutrality, enough that it would domino effect and trigger the third wave. And so that's what we're seeing. And so what happens is when the third wave gets brought into the potential of waking up, is that all of their shadow aspects, their density, comes up to their face. They don't have to dig for it. We had to dig for it. We had to excavate. We had to do the hard work, like, what's going on here? We had to learn discernment. We had to really, man, we had to figure it all out. And yeah, that's the unpacking. That was just so much hard work. Like, what was really going on? And, you know, getting into our own unconscious and the years of clearing. And
is this mine? Is this not mine?
yeah, the shadow work. And it was painful and it was not fun, you know, and we would have joy because we were always connecting with joy and love. That was always what we would up level to. Bit by bit, we cleared it all out. We brought it to the surface. And now it's right out there in plain sight. And that's the job of the third wavers. There's no digging for them. It's just simple this. I'm afraid of dying. I'm afraid of being alone. I'm afraid of contracting a deadly disease. I'm afraid of losing all my money. I'm afraid my government won't support me. I'm afraid my government will kill me. I'm afraid of my doctor. I'm afraid of immunizations. I need it. I can't survive without a pill. I mean, name it. It's there. You don't have to dig for it. You don't have to look hard. It's right in front of your face. So the third wavers, that's their job, is to literally say, okay, I can be crazy. I can be afraid. I can believe my government. Maybe I should investigate astrology. Maybe I should consider a healer. Like, it's in their face. That's the birth of the third wave. So to me, that's what's going on right now is, you know, given the current state of all that's in the landscape, and you just kind of 2020 vision, you get to sort of look at all that is and decide, what am I done with? What can I bless and acknowledge as part of my story, be done with? And what do I want to take with me into my future and create? And just, you just look at the number 0. It's really just your basic portal: wholeness, fullness, richness, new beginning, starting over, what oneness, all that is. So I don't even know, did I answer the question? I went off on my, did I answer the question?
Yeah, let's talk more about the energy of the third wavers, and
Yeah.
the potential and possibility for this instant manifestation of, like, I'm afraid of this. If I walk through it, everything changes. You know, they have so much available to them that we didn't really have. And
Right.
I mean, what is the potential of these critical choice points in real time now?
Yeah. Well, so what we're talking about at this moment is these options based on frequency bandwidth, frequency range. So you see at the densest frequencies, people are dealing with basic survival issues and fear-based energy: fear, worry, doubt, anxiety, trauma, drama, and they're typically plugging into, you know, third dimensional paradigm stuff like news and pharmaceutical drug industries, whatever else is going on in that frequency bandwidth. And that's an extreme polarized bandwidth of energy from this other much lighter frequency bandwidth, which is basically like, we're being freed, we're being liberated, we're being up-leveled, we're up-leveling our awareness to higher frequency bandwidths that are based more in peace and wellness and love and community and oneness and unity and sharing. And those frequency bandwidths are literally, if you think of it, they're portals of reality. So what are you kind of plugging into? And there's ranges in between, if I didn't just say that. So which one, and you could sort of think of it like a train. Which train are you going to get on? What vibrational bandwidth are you tuning into? And what direction will you be going in based on your choice points? And so unfortunately, the third wavers really don't understand this yet. They really don't know it. So there's just enough kind of overlap time over the next few years of linear time where it's kind of like their final choice is, in the sense, when I say final, it's because eventually these vibrational bandwidths do not continue to overlap. They just become so polarized in a sense that one train's going that way and one train's going this way, and then you got some other potential trajectories it's what I call a bifurcation. I'm not the only one who calls it that. Separation of timelines, of realities. And it's based on vibrational compatibility. So right now is a very important time to kind of choose your bandwidth. So we hope that the third waivers will start making choices that are not based in giving their power away to external authorities that are obviously collapsing, or to opting in for fear-based paradigms and realities. We now know that with critical mass, there's a number of ways that they can really up-level, which is, for example, there's not a single third waiver on the planet who's not somehow directly connected to at least a second waiver or a first waiver. So the vibrational match that the first waiver or second waiver brings just by being in proximity with the third waiver helps them up level. Also, just like the word of mouth type of sharing. So for example, good example is just like last week, I was talking to my father and I was saying, well, you know, I kind of think that the virus on humanity is humans on Mother Earth. And Mother Earth is asking us, hey, my children, will you take a time out? Will you go sit still for a little while? Go sit in your corner, kind of thing. And think about, you know, what you've done, and let me heal. Let me have some downtime for myself so I can heal, take care of myself. And you sit and be still and think about what you've done. And before you come out, like, reflect on who you want to be and how you're going to change or what you're going to learn. And I said that to my father, like, last week. That's so far out of his periphery of what he would normally think. And only a few days later, we were having a conversation and he reset it to me as if it was in his knowing all along. He certainly didn't remember me saying it to him. So to me, that's how the third wave, that's a way that the third wave starts to wake up. It's just, that's one of the ways. And then the other thing is just the vibrational effect, right? The vibrational bandwidth shifting. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, when you get into looking at DNA and all of our codings, is that everywhere we go, we carry these codings. Every person that we interact with, there's an exchange of information. I mean, right now we're doing a person-to-person transmission, and whoever is going to watch this is going to be having person-to-person transmissions with us.
Yes.
And because you and I work with DNA, they're going to be having DNA upgrades, you know, from the information and the consciousness that we carry, that we surround, that we send this frequency out. So I absolutely understand what you're saying.
Yeah. And I mean, that's what we call the ripple effect, right? The domino effect, 100th monkey. That's what's going on right now. When we say we've reached critical mass, we've reached 100th monkey. So this now is just, the next few years will be the ripple effect of humans waking up.
Absolutely.
And start to be revealed more and more clearly, because we're just in the first 3 months of it.
Absolutely. And, you know, you talked about these bands of frequencies and these portals. Is I see that we have the potential to move through these portals if we choose. We have the potential to timeline jump as far as we want to go, as long as we can serve our consciousness. And these are kind of like the train happening now with energy and portals and the mastery of our energetics. Is that, you know, we talked last time, and this is so brilliant how this is really tying in. The last time that from the last series, we talked about the new forms of economy and what we'll really value. And you said perspective. And perspectives.
I love that you remember that, Acurda.
Perspectives are portals. We can portal in through another person's transmission and frequency to different timelines or different materializations. And this is, you know, part of what I think is coming for humanity and why perspectives will be so important.
Yeah.
And
well, I love that you remember that, because perspectives are the new currency. Exactly. Perspectives are what allow you to shift your experience and up level. And of course, the more perspective you have, in general, you can't have that perspective unless your vibrational frequency is really high, so to speak, relatively speaking, or light or clear or pure, advanced, whatever word you use. the more or higher your awareness, so to speak, the more up-leveled you are, the greater perspectives you have, the more perspectives you have to share, the more you have to offer through those perspectives, which are vibrational bandwidth. It is in a sense like a portal in that sense that someone else can be up-leveled to that perspective and vibratory range. And so, yeah, I mean, absolutely. That's really the
I think it's also the power and the magnitude that our frequency carries through the quantum call and response. You know, as we are here with our frequency and we are creating consciously with things, that there is a call and response back quantumly through the multiverse. And that this is exactly what we're talking about now, is this quantum call and response back.
Yes, yes. Yeah, exactly. And so if you see it from that way, the idea is to really up-level yourself out of fear frequency ranges for the most part. And anyone that you interact with can help you with that based on their frequency and their vibratory state. That's why calls like this are so helpful. I mean, this is us being of service to humanity.
Yeah.
It's not just us
Absolutely.
having a conversation.
And just think if we can create outside of fear, that is infinite potential and possibility.
Yes.
I mean, that is
the only thing I would say is that we're not creating outside of fear. What we're doing is we're merging and uniting and thereby transmuting the fear. We're living, in a sense, within an overlapping frequency bandwidth of fear. And our job is to transmute it so that, because that's still the job of light workers, first and second wavers. We're still doing that. It's just that now the fear is in humanity's face, whereas before they were playing the game of denial, repression, suppression, and ignorance. Now they can no longer play that game. That game is no longer part of the human experience in a sense. I mean, it is if they are choosing it, but it's not part of it won't continue to allow them to further ascend.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So do you absolutely, it was so well put. Do you think that the second waivers and the first waivers are really the people who are welcoming the third waivers? You know, like we are the ones, and you do this so beautifully with other light workers, especially the younger generations, is that you really welcome them and you share with them, and you basically mentor a lot of people. And you know, this is at this place now where we're holding light for each other, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say one thing that I really know is true is that whatever I have to offer is mine because I offer it. It's not mine to keep. I get it because I share it. It's like I can't level up unless I'm giving it away. I know I learned that very early on, that the more I was willing to share in service in terms of consciousness, frequency, vibration, lessons, learnings, teachings, awareness, that was what was up-leveling me through the sharing and the giving of it. And also to the respect of it, because there was a lot of the journey that was like, part of my lesson was that concept that, you know, is from like biblical times, they don't cast your pearl on swines. And what that is to say is not that people are swines, but to not leak your energy on those who don't want it, or who are resisting or fighting it or struggling it or aren't interested, because those who do want it are the ones where you're meant to use your energy and share and give, because it's an honoring of free will, right? So in that sense, that's what I mean. Like, yeah, there's discernment in there about how to use it and to gift it where it belongs, so to speak.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we spent, you know, last, 11/11, or I'm sorry, 2/11/11s ago, where we were really in the midst of the balance of the masculine and feminine, you know, and that's like the mother, father, God. And now it's like, we're stepping into mother, father, God, let's say the archetype of mother, father, God, and welcoming the children home. And,
yes.
and the Ascensioners now have mother, father, God supporting them and welcoming them and giving them all these tools and opportunity to really, step into their true potential.
Yeah. And I mean, what's really beautiful, I think, is that people are coming online and their gifts are just coming through so exponentially. It's just incredible how much and how quickly people are advancing now in terms of bringing forward these gifts and allowing themselves to really not only embody their divine source, but also be really not attached to the body, in the sense that the leveling up is the recognition that you are actually, you do not, first of all, let me set some things. I don't know if this has been said, but you do not have an ego. You're not an ego. You do not have an ego. You are source. All of us, we are source. So the storyline that you have an ego or that you ever had an ego, that's just a storyline of the old paradigm. In fact, you are source, and source does not have an ego. You also don't have, you are source. Source doesn't have a soul. Source is all that is. Is there soul that's gone through a progression of linear time in your storyline that you've been the looker, the peer in on, the experiencer of through the story? Yes. But do you have a soul? No. You are source. Okay, is that storyline invalid or untrue? No, it's not invalid and it's not untrue. It is true, it's part of the experience, but now in the new paradigm, as we level up, we're becoming more aware. We are source. This goes back to the perspective thing, is as you level up, you are awareness itself. You are awareness itself, looking in on all kinds of stories and all kinds of perspectives. And in this storyline here, you were someone going through an eternal experience as a soul who lost its way, trying to find its way home, trying to remember, working through all those shadow aspects. But in reality, the more you level up, you just realize you are source, and so is all that is. And everyone and everything else is aspect of source. And so now we get to play at this new level, right? That's the joy of the illumination of humanity, as one by one we realize. What I would like to say about this whole idea of ego, if like a teacher's teaching you that you have an ego, I just like to say that that's a lower frequency. That's not really, I don't really buy into that. I just think I would describe ego from the perspective that I'm at as the looker of all that is, and that alignment with sources, that ego is an identification of an entity, which is basically a life force that fed off the pain and suffering of the third dimensional paradigm.
Absolutely. And, you know, that's what I love about working with DNA, is that like the DNA for me are these portals and perspectives that you can go into and have these experiences and create these experiences for yourself and create new templates for yourself. And so what have you been seeing? I mean, you have a long lineage of doing DNA work here. And what have you been seeing with DNA and, you know, the star family? I mean, what I'm seeing is people are now tapping into their hybrid DNA. I mean, people are having hybrid DNA experiences. They are in communication with different races. They're seeing it inside their DNA. And I mean, there's just, what are you seeing right now as the progression of our understanding of DNA?
I mean, that's the whole thing. It's like, first of all, let's understand that, and I know that this community knows that, but the first two strands, to me, they're basically all corrupted. And they allow for experiences associated with disease and suffering, lack, limitation, all kinds of painful, unhealthy general experiences. And yeah, they allow for other things that are good and desirable, that we would label as good and desirable, like beauty or beautiful skin or hair or eyes or whatever. But overall, we call them corrupted because they're stuff that basically are indicators of disease, lack, limitation. And indeed, they make us vulnerable.
Genetics, epigenetics, ancestral stories.
Right, ancestral stories for sure. It's everywhere where our ancestors were basically in their own states of lack and limitation and separation from source, and where they weren't receiving the gifts of consciousness of these higher levels of awareness that we're talking about. But the key is, even right now, we see on planet Earth where someone's operating from only these first two strands, and they're very vulnerable to a virus. And by the way, a virus, if we don't realize that, a virus is inorganic. In other words, it does not have a nucleus. It does not have a cell. I don't think it even has a proper cell membrane. It's not like but it definitely doesn't have a nucleus, which means it's inorganic, because any living thing has, any living kind of living bacteria even has a nucleus. A virus does not. That means it's inorganic, it's unnatural. If it's inorganic and unnatural, what is it? Artificial. And it is a form of intelligence. It seems to go after things. So everything has a form of intelligence. I mean, storms have intelligence, everything, consciousness, everything. Consciousness is a form of intelligence. So therefore, it's a form of, we could label it as artificial intelligence. It could, it's not in the traditional sense of what that means, but it's inorganic, it's unnatural. And we do know already it was bred in a lab, and it was all kinds of corrupted crap.
Yeah, and you know, we know from things that can't create their own source that they're parasitic, and they go after energy.
That's right. That's exactly right. So if those two strands of DNA, those first two strands are so corrupted, you're really vulnerable to that kind of stuff, because that's a vibrational resonance. So the first thing we want to do is be clearing out those first two strands, which I know we're always doing. And it's all about going in there, looking at whatever problem areas we have in our life, whatever other shadow aspects we have, whether they're mental, emotional, energetic, spiritual, physical. If they're physical, it means we've been playing the game of ignorance, denial, repression, suppression for far too long, because that's why it gets into the body. No wrongness. It's just the body becomes like, hey, you missed it up here, you missed it here. I got to anchor it into your body to get you to pay attention, because you're not getting the message, right? So you come out of ignorance and denial when your body needs physical change. Okay, all that stuff gets cleared out of the first two strands of DNA when we start resolving those issues. And then to go to your question is like, what are people finding? I mean, they're rediscovering, people are rediscovering not only like our most incredible gifts and who we are and who we're meant to become, but we're playing with all these other realms. I mean, I know that you play with the mystical realms. I know these nature kingdoms are just interacting with us. I mean, I have like trees inviting me to sleep inside them at night, and, you know, granite people asking me to lay on them. I mean, just like, that's even just earlier. That's like third and fourth strands when we're playing with these even those are like lower realms that
yeah, they're like the elementals. They're like the lower elementals of the earth field.
Right. Know, and when you start merging with those realms, then you realize you have access to even more, because it's all about merging. It's all about unifying with them. It's not really about seeing them separate. It's about realizing that you're interacting with them in your field of consciousness and through playing with them. And as you merge with them, that's when you start realizing, oh, you can up level even more. Like, oh yeah, now you can start playing with angels and angel gods, and what's the difference?
And I think you also start to see your power in the creation of it. You're wielding elements, you are wielding energy, you are wielding elements, you are wielding consciousness, you are wielding light, you are wielding sound, you are wielding, you know, you are wielding all of these things at a multidimensional level.
Right, right. And so, yes, and then when you get into the higher frequency bandwidth, 7th, 8th, I mean, well, I love the 6th dimensional frequencies. That's where the universal laws are. Akashic records live there. So that's when you start getting into like levels of knowing all that is. It's like the records have every piece of information or energy that's ever existed. Dark, light, good, bad, right, wrong. It's all in there. And you get really good at discernment when you start learning how to navigate those halls, so to speak, those realms. The laws are just, I love the laws so much. One of my favorite things. And then, yeah, that's when you move beyond that, that's when you start getting really more and more in touch with your star family races. What do you resonate as? Like, what star beings are you feeling most resonant with? I know, like for me, one of the things that I learned from the Pleiades is, as a, you know, member of that star family, is they don't really need to eat. They live off the sun, and many of them air and light. And I find I'm not really eating very much anymore, very little. Like this time is almost evening, and I haven't eaten a single thing. There's no hunger, there's no appetite, because I'm feeding off of light and breath more. That's really fun. And I don't have to teach myself to do that. I just started doing that. So that's one of the things, we start playing with these gifts of our star family races, whatever they are. Like different people have different gifts that are coming through, and how we're interacting. We're learning about our extraterrestrial star family lineage. That's part of who we become in the future, so to speak, of linear time, that we're now integrating with and awakening from within ourselves. So there's sort of like, this is why I love the crystals. This is why I love the crystalline kingdom, because the crystals are record keepers and timekeepers. So when you start learning how to work with these crystals, they're storing up all of these records from our star family races and activations to help awaken the DNA, right? The Christ consciousness is crystalline consciousness. So these crystals are holding all this light and information, energy in them. And that when you learn how to interact with these crystals, you have the ability to activate so much more of your own consciousness and your connection to the stars and star family races, benevolent aliens, extraterrestrials, because they basically those future versions of us know how to time travel, and they basically have coded this information into these crystals and then into the earth. Most of it lives along that strip between Arkansas and, South America, Brazil. So we have access to that too. And that helps us awaken more of what's dormant within us. It's within us, and yet it's time capsuled within these crystals.
Absolutely. And
those are some of our powers, right?
Yeah, our superpowers are coming online. I've seen people like star maps encoded in DNA. I've seen blueprints for different types of flight technology that was built on love and compassion. I mean, I've seen so much from working with people through DNA. And, we had this really powerful experience together when we were in Arkansas last year, when we were using working with the crystals, and we had our own encounters with different beings come through. And, that was first of all, the frequency in Arkansas and the mountain that we're at is so high and so incredibly beautiful. I mean, it is just, your consciousness is just wah, wah, wah the whole time. I mean, it's like you're living in a magic land. At least that's how my experience of it was. And then to be with people that are on that same level, and then creating grids and working with time and space and different timelines was a spectacular experience. But working with the crystals as a technology and working with them with DNA, that was spectacular. And, it was one of the highlights of my year last year.
Me too. I say that was like the best week of my year practically. We had just so much fun. It wasn't just, it was all around. You just have to look at that to me, I look at that experience in Arkansas as all around. I mean, first of all, the nature and the beauty, swimming in the lake and riding on the boats and jumping in this crystal bed of water, and your whole body, you come out of it and completely vibrating,
structured water. And I think that
absolutely,
I've never been a place that had such structured mineral water like that.
Yes.
I mean, you feel the difference.
Yes. Your whole body, your whole state of consciousness, the peace that reverberates through your body. And that's like, you don't even have to do anything. And the mud baths that we did with the crystal mud, like that, it's not even mud, it's like the earth that we put on our bodies. Okay. Then just working with the crystals, like digging the crystals and learning to communicate, learning to heal with them, learning to work with all the keys that they have. And, they're basically key codes in those crystals that you went. Our whole group learned that. The camaraderie, the friendship, the environment, I mean, the fun, the sound baths we did, like it was just to me, it was just a week of just, and then not to mention like the jacuzzi and the stars and the star families, the extraterrestrial interaction we got to have. It was just so many people, just women, and yes, we had one man last year. Well, we actually had two, but one wasn't with us. We had so much, it was so full. And we all created that together because we went in that with that intention of just like, what's the very best it could be. And it was just, absolutely. I don't know, everybody loved it. It was so magnificent.
And I really feel that we are being called and asked right now to co-create with each other.
Yes.
And this is our next up leveling is our visionaries, right? Our leaders. Can you play nice with each other? Can you start creating with each other? and leave all of you, what you think should happen, leave who you think you are aside, and create for humanity. And I think that that really kicked it off for me. And just these levels of co-creation, we are being asked at this time to move into, and I'll get into my part of the virus, what I think the virus is a creation of global movement. I think that we have seen that we have a collective conscious. I think people are tapping into that, but we've tapped into it with fear and drama and pain, and not from our potential of that we can move in enlightened, illuminated groups with each other, with the whole planet. And I think this is our training ground right now for this. We don't have to make this stuff up in order to feel this for us in the collective.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's funny because I was like, I was on a call today that I did earlier, and some channeling came through, and the universal law of truth came through, and it was just talking about how at this time discernment is one of the most important things we can have. And it was saying how, like, you'll always know when you're getting a lie because you will be so uncomfortable. You will either be somehow constricted or contracted or boxed in or forced in. It'll always emerge some form of fear or anxiety. Then you know it's a lie. And that's what we're being asked to break free from. And when we up level to exactly what you're talking about, this kind of like trust and play and have fun and know that it's going to be all right, and that we're going to be divinely cared for, that we're Source's children, you know, and at the same time, the future of humanity will be only gods will walk the earth. That's what I see. That there will be a time in our lifespan, likely 15 years, within 15 to 20 years is what I am hearing at the most, where only gods walk the earth, that all will be transformed into gods. And this is what you're talking about. It's really, we're transmuting ourselves as the virus on earth. We have been that virus on earth. I also want to say, I want to hear what you were going to say, but I'll just say that virus energetically is linked to extreme like unworthiness and a sense of worthlessness. Just think back, plague, it hit all the people poor and homeless living in the streets. HIV was linked to gays who were basically outskirts of society at that time, who had been deemed like, they were so judged and ridiculed, right? And this is part of the healing of that issue of like worthlessness and having no worth and value. And the other thing about virus energy is it's very linked to a lack of joy, lack of enjoyment and a lack of joy. And so literally the healing for humanity is to play, is to discover your worth and your value from deep within you. And only a time out could really do that, in a sense, where you just really learn to play, where you don't have to work. You can't, do you know what I mean? So this is like part of the healing of humanity right now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's time to play, and it's time to celebrate the human. We have gone through so much, millennia of lifetimes coming back to hold sacred knowledge and to be at this place right now. And, you know, what we've endured with multitude of history, not understanding that we're God, and being raised by parents who don't understand that they're God and we're God. And, you know, it is time to really celebrate that after all of that, we have an uncorruptible God particle in us that endured all of that and is still standing and emanating stronger than ever. And I really feel that for humanity right now. And I really feel that as we're going through this, the economy of ascension and grace will be born. And we talked about this last time, of how we value each other again. We value life again. And
I know for me, I want to say, I was just going to say something while you were speaking that was just totally personal. Like, you bring out the best in people, Acurda. You bring out the best in people. And I feel like you're just, that's the perfect example of the economy of grace. Is like what really matters is like how much we love each other and how much we care. And I know, like, I'm just so illuminated whenever I'm around you and people I love who matter so much to me. And I don't think that this is a time for any of us to be saints, gurus, or you know, like Joan of Arc, saviors, or even warriors. Like, I hear that word, that archetype. Not that that's not a good archetype. It's just, my point is like, this is the day of the divine human. So our flaws, so to speak, our imperfections, they're just out there. We're not meant to be like that old idea. Like, I remember when I was really coming online as a first waver, it was so, I held myself to such a high level of expectation personally. And I was trying to be perfectionistic in a sense, not because I was afraid of what other people thought, because that got dismantled really fast. I mean, my family just totally said I was crazy. My ex-husband divorced me because I was crazy. Like, I didn't care about what other people thought, but I was running the saint program, and I was trying to be a saint, you know, and that was really so believed, I think, at least until the birth of the second wave, that somehow we had to be like these saint-like beings. And now I realize, and I really think the second waivers helped me with this, like you and, you know, like whoever, it doesn't even matter. It's not for better or worse either. I just need to make that clear. It's just what you signed up for and the role you took on. But I feel like that was cleansed out of me in the last couple of years, where I just realized, like, frig it, they're going to see my flaws and all. And we call that like that. There's a navigation period in there where you just realize, like, we're finding our own way. I call it a null zone. Like, you don't really know, like, what, you don't necessarily, you realize your flaws are being exposed, and you know that you're going to do your best. And at the same time, you're just navigating the best way you can, and you allow it, right? And you realize, like, that's where you fall in love with people, because they're just so loving and accepting. And I had to make peace with that. I deserved forgiveness from others. I was so busy forgiving everything and everyone in the world and God. And it was like, I forgave myself even. And I didn't feel for a long time like others were extending that to me. And it wasn't because they weren't. It was because on some deeper level, I was trying so hard to be some kind of saint. And that's not the role anymore in this new awakening. We're divine humans. So it's like that perfectly imperfectly perfect. It's like, it's just.
Yeah. You know, when you came to visit me, one of the first things I said to you was, I'm really into being human right now. And I just want us to be human. I just want us to play like humans. And remember, we just enjoyed food, and we just did all these like really simple human-y things. And it was just so wonderful to just, I spent, like you, a whole lot of years denying my human, because I knew this other thing was possible, you know, and I've seen other beings and dimensions and myself in the future. And I just, and also trauma played a part in that too, not being able to be in my body. And then years ago, after that shifted, I just really fell in love with myself as a human.
Right.
And
that's so awesome. I love that. Right.
You know, that I enjoy, that we're able to enjoy food, you know, and that we're able to enjoy these things. We're able to enjoy pleasure with each other and company with each other and share our hearts. And I mean, that's, like we said, I mean, that's what I see for humanity, us getting back to, is in really enjoying ourselves again.
It's so true. Like, even though I said that thing about the not eating, I still do eat. It's not like I never eat, you know? And I will say, like, as you come more online, the simple pleasures of life really are true. Like, the food is so good that I eat, because it's like food of the earth, it's nature, you know? And the simple pleasures, like, you know, hot spring, we did the hot springs together, and that was just so awesome. Like, it was just joy, just being there, the sound of nature. And I mean, this just seems so basic, and yet that kind of pleasure is, and enjoyment is beyond anything that we really regularly experience in the old paradigm, and what we believed or perceived would ever bring us joy. or where we were searching for it in some external thing like materialism or the way we looked or some nose job or facelift or whatever, I don't know, you know, car that you know, drive or whatever. Like now it's just the pleasure, the internal joy. It all comes from within. This is like really what's, and by the way, part of what happens when we do all this excavation, this inner excavation and clearing the DNA and stuff is that we birth from within us a new child is birthed, right? And we have inside of us, we have like the whole family dynamic. We have an inner parent, we have an inner child, we have an inner self-critic who transforms into, you know, a cheerleader. We have an inner sage. We do have an inner rebel, but that rebel is like joy-seeking, pleasure-seeking for what's good. Like we transform all these characters, and what we find and reveal is this child has been holding this joy within us all along. And that's like when I came to visit you and you're like, oh, let's just enjoy, let's just be human. It's like, it's the inner child. Like I have an inner child who's always like swings, take me to the swing set, like just loves the swing sets. And that kind of joy is what we're birthing, but it's from within. And then the external things that you engage in, they are joyful, but it's not because of the things. It's because of what we birthed from within and what we exude, you know, what we vibrate as and who we are. So that's part of the whole journey too, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I can say I'm happy to be human now, and that hasn't always been the case. And I'm happy to have the experiences of this body, of the senses, to be able to sense myself and to sense others. I'm truly grateful. I see it as a gift now. I did not many years ago when I had trauma, I did not see it that way. And it is such a gift. And you are such a gift. And the work that you do is so important. And you have touched, I mean, transformed so many lives. And, you know, we connected on a piece when we were on our retreat. And I think that this is so true. And I'm seeing it more and more, is that we have spent most of our years in clearing and recoding and now mastery. And we are in that stage of, again, like one-on-one, person-to-person transmissions. And you have a transmission that is incredible.
Well, this is what I want to say about this, and thank you for saying that, and so do you, because the world's just your mirror, right? We're just each other's mirrors. But what I want to say about that is, I don't think really people realize this. The light workers, you know, realize it, but overall, even depending on your level of consciousness, it's so easy to transform the world when we all unite and hold a frequency range, right? That's what light workers do. We get together and we have group meditations and group healings, and we do that for an hour or so, or however long we're all together in our heart center, reverberating at those frequencies, and we anchor it into our body, we anchor it into the earth, and then we know there's certain portal days, like we've got 444 coming up. Oh, I don't know if I can make that reference, because maybe we might be a little ahead of that. By the time this plays, that might have already happened. But these pure portal days, where these higher frequencies come in from higher, so-called higher pure realms, and they knock the Schumann's resonance off the charts. Schumann's resonance is the measures of these frequencies of Earth. This is what brings us into this divinity. And so we have the ability to completely heal this now, but now more than ever, we're being asked to recognize, those of us who are in the know on this, how much our collective unity is even more important than ever, to unify, hold frequencies of peace, love, you know, purity, forgiveness, compassion in our heart centers, and just really fully anchor them and spread them, because it's all energy. It's all states of consciousness. And indeed, it is why right now humans, at least from my perspective, are as calm as they are. given the state of humanity. Now, maybe there's way more crazy. I don't know. I'm the eye of the storm right now. So in my world, I kind of see that going on. But at the same time, I just perceive people are being calm. They're going home. They're basically staying in. There's no mass protest. It's very calm.
Well,
very peaceful.
I think that, you know, what you're talking about is free energy and understanding that we're source. And when we understand us as source and free energy, then we can have free energy on the planet. And even though this is happening, I don't feel trapped or confined or any of that. My energy is still moving in freedom. There's nobody that can take that away from me, because I understand the mastery of my energetics and my consciousness and the truth of who I am. I am energy and freedom. You are energy and freedom. And together, the more that we keep working together and co-creating together, we will have energy and freedom through this planet.
I just want to say too, because what you're saying just reminded me, like at any state of my day now, I now realize like I'm in so much peace. And basically they're kind of like, I would say like bliss sometimes, but definitely it's always like peace. I just can close my eyes and just feel it, right? It just a few breaths really even intensifies it. And then what I'll do, and everyone can do this, you don't even need a group for this, you just let the landscape of your life experience reveal to you, like any thoughts, any inner visions, anything of your storyline, your history, your likes, your dislikes, your triggers, whatever comes. And you just, with a few breaths, you can get yourself into the most peaceful state. For me, it's just so easy now, but anyone can do it, whatever degrees for you. And you just I lovingly and willingly bless you. I lovingly and willingly offer you peace. I lovingly and willingly release you. I lovingly and willingly let you go, like whatever it is. And this is part of how, with 2020 vision, we really allow ourselves to witness our landscape and just release what's done and be done with it. And this is also like, even if you just close your eyes and see your vision of this virus or whatever, like I willingly and lovingly make peace with you. I willingly and lovingly release you. I willingly and lovingly bless you. We're done. The idea that there's like a war with a virus is going to keep you in the lower frequencies, right? Absolutely. That's not what the experience is of transmutation. So this is like, it's simple. Anyone can do that. Any time of the day. It takes 2 minutes, not even. So that's a really great tool for people as well.
And that's really what we're getting to witness, transmutation. Our role in transmutation, how we can consciously transmutate things to the next level. I mean, that's really what creation is all about.
Yeah.
Is not creating from the space that this issue or problem or density was created in. This is what a visionary is. It's having the vision to create out of it, to create above it, to create something that is completely not of that frequency. You can raise yourself up and choose something outside of that and see it differently.
I mean, you are so overlapping with like the magical realm too, mystical magical realm, because you spend so much time in the nature kingdom and because you're playing with so much, you know, of that. And it's very cool. I love that you say that, because like, a lot of times my idea of visionary is like, I just have all the landscapes. I can see it all. But I love that you said, no, we can even, you know, and I mean, that's totally true, right? We can create something entirely new. And I think that's what we're doing. We're birthing a new humanity now. And yeah, we do need we do need this stuff cleared. And that's, to me, the easiest way to do it, just to get in the neutral. The more you get neutral about things, just by willingly blessing, loving, releasing, and making peace with all that's ever been.
Yeah.
All that ever was like. Yeah.
And Lori, you have a free gift for everybody that you would like to share, and that's the sacred healing.
I got a few free gifts. Can I give a few of them?
Yeah, you can give as many as you want.
All right. Well, the first one, we'll give them a free gift.
You go on and be generous.
I love being generous.
Exactly.
I'll give a gifted DNA activation, right? It's a kind of a generic one, but it's a wonderful activation. It doesn't go into all the codes and things because those codes are like the rich, juicy, but it's a gifted and you'll get to experience it and see what it's like. And it really will help. And so that's, you just have to go to lorispagna.com/free gifts/DNA. You'll get a class with that too about the DNA and why it's so important and, you know, why we are activating it at this time. We'll go deeper into that. One of the other free gifts I'll give is for people who resonate with, or let's do it for animals. If you have animal companions and you want to really help your animals and assist your animals and learn more about animal communication, telepathy, energy with animals, you can go to lorispagna.com/free gifts/animals. And then, yeah, what I just recently did, just more for, actually, I was just guided to do this for the most part for people who, I didn't even realize this, but I was told, create a healing list. People will want healing. This is just, you can opt in for people and animals to receive healing. And that's when I do all kinds of planetary work. I mentioned that 2 days a week, I do planetary work with a group, and then one day I do by myself. And if I have a free, an opt-in for people who want my special attention remotely or their animals, they'll get on this list. And that's where they go to https://tinyurl.com/sacred healing. It's a lot, but I know you'll put it in the links and you'll.
Yeah, we'll put it all in the links
with
with your speaker's page and
that's good for and animals.
Yeah, and I also wanted to let everybody know as well as that, like, we're gonna be doing a retreat together again in September in Arkansas, the Crystal Retreat, and you have specific dates.
Let me say about that, because that we would love. Well, there's limited space on that because we stay on the middle of a lake, a beautiful crystal lake in the middle of a national forest in Arkansas, on Lake Ouachita, and it's very high end. Isn't it high end?
Yes, we had a very nice time. We were very well taken care of.
And yet incredibly affordable. It is fabulous. So it's a week of amazing, it's a crystal journey. It's a sacred crystal journey for Starseeds, Lightworkers, awakening beings. Animals are welcome to join as long as they are, they know how to behave appropriately. So that Starseed and Lightworker crystal experience for awakening beings is this year. It's Hot Springs, Arkansas, and Mount Ida, Arkansas. It's September 17th through the 21st. It's still on. We know we will be on the other side of this virus thing by then. And of course, they can stay for an optional extra stay. So it's in September, and they can head over to lorispagna.com under the live events tab at my website, lorispagna.com, and they can see the link for the Starseed and Lightworker crystal experience, and they can join us. And right now, there is still an early bird rate on there.
Awesome.
So, yeah, we would love.
And, I just want to say that working with the crystals and DNA was really profound. And we had some incredible, next level experiences. And to be able to work with your, again, the technology of your DNA, and then also to have another light technology to work with it was phenomenal. And anybody who's interested in that, please come and join us. It is an incredible time.
Yeah. Definitely. So awesome. Camaraderie, friendship, communion, union, connection, learning, growth, healing, fun experiences, we did tons of channeling. We had incredible beings with us. It's just a great way to really accelerate, and people just community. I can't say enough about it. I just loved it.
Absolutely.
I'm so thrilled that we're doing it again together this year.
Me too.
Great connection.
I love you so much, and thank you so much for being here. Like I said, this wouldn't feel like a family thing if you weren't here. Most of the people who are on this series are brothers and sisters, aunties, uncles, grandmas, grannies, you know, I mean, they really are my family in a lot of ways, my, you know, my family, and you mean so much to me, and I'm so grateful you're in my life, and I'm so grateful to experience the work that you're doing on such a deep level, because it has enriched me so much.
Thank you so much. And I'm thrilled to be here. And I just thank you for having me. I love you too. Just right back at you. All of it. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, everybody. And please check out Lori Spagna's website, and we'll have all of her links, speaker page up. And I really hope that this served you in this time. And I hope that you found tremendous value here, and that you can take a few things and feel love and joy from them. And this, to feel love and joy, and to celebrate yourself as a human. Love yourself. Bye-bye.